great opportunity to play Wolfear Silverheart because against everybody else, it's a gigantic monster.
Yeah, someone described it as it's a 12-8 for 5, basically. When you think about all the power and toughness, it's spreading out across the board.
All right, so we're off. Jeremy Cerka playing Esper Control leads things off with an Evolving Wilds. Not the best matchup for Brian. The Wolfear Silverhearts are especially kind of embarrassing here.
So Avacyn's Pilgrim from Brian, and Jeremy gets an island. It's funny, I see the I'd tap that sleeves, and Brian had the I'd hit that shirt on last night. It's like his baseball.
I think they came from softball. Yeah.
I like Brian's sleeves, the Nope sleeves there. All right, so Brian has
Green
a Green Sun Zenith. Yeah, Jeremy added a Ratchet Bomb to the board.
So probably going to find himself a Strangler Geist, which he did, and
Geist is in.
Strangler Geist bashing into the red zone. Brian's hand looks like it has a few too many 1-mana dudes. So,
well, the Geist will help provide some of the early aggression. I mean, the exact kind of early aggression he wants here.
It looks like he's another Green Sun Zenith, so
we could be seeing another Geist.
Yeah, he could. And I think he actually has a Strangler Geist in his hand too. He was just Green Sun Zenithing for one instead of casting one to be more efficient with his mana. Because that other Strangler Geist obviously is going to cost 2 when it comes down later, and he doesn't have green, so.
All right, so Jeremy looks like he missed a land drop there. Jeremy has Liliana, Phantasmal Image.
Yep. So Brian gonna find himself another Strangler Geist.
Yep.
No problem with that.
Geist into the red zone for Brian.
Gotta shuffle that Green Sun Zenith back in, Brian Kowal.
Yeah, make sure he shuffles that Zenith back in, since it looks like that he's not. Yeah, there we go. All right, so Jeremy gets his third land, and Liliana's not so exciting right here.
Liliana, not the best card in this spot. And this is the thing about playing Control nowadays is Undying is a pretty big problem.
It is.
Unless Jeremy can, find a white mana and then top deck a Terminus, he's in a world of trouble.
Yeah, we were talking about that on the way in, about how good Pillar of Flame is in the format. Jeremy does not have access to it, so. All right, so Jeremy cracks the Ratchet Bomb to level up the 2 Strangleroot Geists, but give them a little respite from their attacks. Brian now with a Sword of War and Peace. He basically just played that Ratchet Bomb as a terrible fog. The fog, like, creatures deal no damage this turn, but they get +1/+1 counters. So a Forbidden Alchemy from Jeremy, just trying to find a way out of this predicament.
And needs white mana. Brian, thought about playing another creature on that turn, has a bunch of creatures in his hand that cost 1, but ultimately decided that it's not worth it to play into something like a Black Sun Zenith for 1. His opponent not playing Black Sun Zenith, but Brian has no way of knowing that.
Right.
So. His opponent could go Plains, Day of Judgment. He drew the Terminus, but with no white mana in hand.
With no white
mana in play.
Board.
So he was unable to use the Miracle on that.
Looks like
Ghost Quarters away his own land to find a Plains. It's not the ideal use of that card. Sometimes you're forced to do it though.
Yeah.
Jeremy,
he's just
here on land.
He's got to be scrappy at this point. Like, you got to do some weird things, like play bad fogs and bad fetch lands, like Ghost Quartering your own lands. Bless you.
Yeah, so Jeremy going to flashback a Lingering Souls. Not the best thing to do when your opponent has this sort of War and Peace on the table. Especially when you have a full grip. Now,
So it
Brian
looks like
probably going to attempt to equip the sword before he tries to...
yeah.
I think he's going to tap his Avacyn's Pilgrim in the Gavany Township for this equip, once he realizes what he's doing. I have faith.
Nope.
No, just do it this way.
All right, so equip resolves and both Strangleroot Geists into the red zone. 2 spirits, take down one of them.
Yeah, going to take 5 from this, then the sword trigger will activate. So Brian's going to go up to 25.
Wow.
And Jeremy's going to go to 3 or 4. I
Yeah.
can't really see how many cards are in his hand.
Yeah, 3 or
So-
4 is a good guess. It's definitely 5 or
4.
6 cards in his hand. Yeah. Yikes, yeah. He's got Day of Judgment, Terminus, Unburial Rites, Liliana, Phantasmal Image.
This is a really hard board for Jeremy to deal with. I mean, a Wrath effect doesn't work. Yeah, he's
Well-
just dead on board. Is it 4? And Brian has a Strangleroot Geist in his hand, so he can just play it and then
Play, equip,
equip.
kill you.
And that's it.
Yeah. Wow. It was Strangleroot Geist. I mean, what were we saying walking in here? Strangleroot Geist is absurd.
Yeah,
I think
Strangleroot Geist is kind of insane, and that's what Brian and I were talking about last night. Brian, when he built this deck, he was thinking about playing a blue-green deck that was just super all in on Strangleroot Geist, like Mana Guys, Green Sun Zenith, Strangleroot Geist, Phantasmal Images, and Phyrexian Metamorphs. So he's like, I just, while I'm playing, he's like, I've played control decks in the past. I could never beat Strangleroot Geist in a million years if they just kept chaining them and playing them over and over again. And that's exactly what he's doing. It seems to be working out pretty well for him.
Yeah, well, the double Zenith Geist draw, especially when Jeremy was kind of stalled on mana.
But that's just what his deck does.
Right, exactly.
You
I mean,
know.
his deck did what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
Jeremy couldn't even hit his 3rd land drop, so Jeremy trying to dig out of a hole that Brian was just digging deeper for him. Interesting. Jeremy has just 1 Terminus in his deck, which I'm not saying that that's wrong or right. I'm just saying it's interesting that he did draw it, but just didn't have the white mana.
Didn't have the white mana play. It would have been insane
Yeah,
if he did.
it would have been exactly what he wanted. Taking a look at Jeremy's list here.
Now, looking at these sideboards, Brian definitely taking out Wolfear Silverheart. That's probably his weakest card here. Perhaps also taking out Sigarda, who's to Parents. Though you never know. Brian likes to have these like big, catch-all, hard-to-deal-with threats in these types of matchups. Oldemole Tracker, another card he's probably going to want to take out here. Cards he's going to want to bring in. I could see him bringing in Mental Misstep. It doesn't really have many targets against his opponent, but it seems obvious that your opponent would have 1 mana removal spells against you, and here's Brian Kowal, who hasn't really played Magic in over a year, so I could see him bringing that in. Oblivion Ring probably coming in, and he'll probably just bring in some Planeswalkers. He's getting Juras in a sideboard.
Yeah, looking at Jeremy's list, he's got a lot of 1-ofs. It's interesting. I mentioned the 1-of Terminus. Also, that Liliana was a 1-of. He's got just that 1-of Ratchet Bomb. He just drew a ton of 1-ofs that game, except for his white mana. He's got Timely Reinforcements, which could just help.
Yeah, he's
give him
definitely
some
bringing
time.
in Timely Reinforcements. Those are going to be really good here. I think Sever the Bloodline, also pretty good. That exiles the creatures, I believe, right?
Yeah.
So
he's just
pretty
got
good against all the
one
Undying
Sever,
stuff.
2 Timely, bring those in.
Brian's deck has Restoration Angel in it, which is surprisingly good against a deck like Jeremy's. Gives him... it really forces Jeremy to just be on the Wrath plan, like the I'm going to keep wrathing you plan. And his deck isn't superbly set up for that type of plan. Like, he really needs to... he needs his mana to work out. His mana's not the best. I mean, he has... 3 Ghost Quarters, and how many lands is he playing? 12, 16. 26, so it's not that bad. 23 colored sources. Only 2 Evolving Wilds. There's only 12 white sources, and that's including his 2 evolving wilds. A little low for this type of control deck, especially when trying to make your mana work out every game, and you really need to hit land drops 1 through 5 for this deck to operate properly.
Yeah, I mean, he's got Sun Titans and Elish Norns that he's trying to potentially hard cast. He does have Unburial Rights. So Jeremy with a Glacial Fortress and Brian with an Avacyn's Pilgrim. Excuse me, off a Razorverge Thicket. And Darkslick Shores puts a Ratchet Bomb onto the board for Jeremy.
Another Ratchet Bomb.
1, 2, 3. Sort of Feast and Famine from Brian.
And that's a big game.
Yeah.
That's a really, really big game.
Well, Jeremy gets his 3rd land this time in the form of a Ghost Quarter.
And I mean, if Brian has like a land and a Stranglergeist here, or I mean, there's a world of stuff that Brian could do here, but I think Brian's going to connect with a sword this turn.
That's what I think. That's what I would do. Just go ahead and.
Well, this Stranglergeist, he can cast the Stranglergeist and connect with a sword this turn.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what he's doing. Strangleroot Geist. Equip. And Tragic Slip or Doomblade, okay.
Yep. Able to Doomblade that away.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't see any Tragic Slips in this list, and there are none. Just 1 Doomblade. And I guess when you have this many 1-ofs, you're gonna draw a lot of 1-offs.
Dangerous play by Jeremy here. Jeremy not using his Oblivion Ring last turn on that sword. Instead
so
choosing to keep open Doomblade mana.
He's gonna go
ahead and Oblivion Ring the sword now, but leaving himself open to getting hit by who knows what.
Yeah, looks like Oblivion Ring on sort of Feast and Famine. And Jeremy does not play Batterskull. I thought that's what I saw in his hand.
See, and even now, after it looks like Jeremy's dealt with this sword successfully, right? However, Jeremy spent a Doomblade, killing half of a Stranglergeist. That's 2 mana, and then he spent an Oblivion Ring to get rid of the sword. That's 5 mana.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Brian put 5 mana into that sword, and only 1 card. Brian actually ended up ahead on that trade, even though Jeremy had the right iteration of cards to deal with it. Kind of ridiculous. I think, this matchup is surprisingly good for Brian. I think we didn't really see that. Like, I didn't see that this is going to be good at all.
Yeah, it's rough. Like trying to fight through these undying creatures, you're just always behind unless you have the right answers that are gonna kind of blank the fact that they're undying. They're always just kind of one more card than they appear to be. We're having a
little bit of a connection issue.
Yeah, I guess we paused the match temporarily.
Now, I think on Brian's turn he has a Metamorph, so he can just copy a Stranglergeist and keep getting in there. Jeremy at 17 now, Brian at 20 still.
If he has a land, he could potentially Metamorph, copy the O-Ring, and
Metamorph only copies artifacts or creatures.
Oh, that's right. I'm trying to get the sword for him. Get that sword back.
I want that sword back.
So Jeremy, you're gonna have to probably blow that Ratchet Bomb to deal with the Strangleroot Geist. But he's gonna have Brian's gonna have an opening here to connect with it before Jeremy can even think about doing that.
Yeah, I mean Brian already connected with it last turn, so
yeah.
It's
well, he didn't connect because the Doomblade.
Well, he connected with the Stranglergeist.
What do you mean?
The Stranglergeist was killed in response to him equipping, so it came back as a 3/2. So he already attacked Jeremy for 3. He attacked Jeremy.
Oh, okay. The life total's wrong. That's it. I was thinking that. Yeah, you're right.
That's because of the connection issue. So, I mean, I'm always excited to see a Kowal deck. I'm always rooting for him to top deck that far, so that next turn he can cast the Strangler Geist and cast Phyrexian Metamorph, copying Strangler Geist and get in there for
ridiculous.
Yeah, get in there for 7.
Infinity.
Put his opponent down to 10.
Looks like Jesse's going to go take a look to investigate what's exactly happening over there.
Yeah, I mean,
the connection issue.
I think they could still keep playing.
Yeah, I would think they could keep playing, but
we can keep you guys updated on their life totals. Again, right now, Brian Kowal at 20, Jeremy Cerka at 17. Just keep playing. We know what the life totals are.
Yeah, they lost it. They've been stopped.
Okay, yeah, they can just start again. I'm saying to just have them start, right?
Yeah, Jake's just saying, why don't just let him play.
No, it's back up. They just need to log back in.
Oh, okay. Sounds like we're
right, so
Glenn Jones to the
up.
rescue. Fixed it, and we are going to be starting back up again in just a moment.
Long range Wi-Fi.
Yes. Only
Nope,
a
nope,
long range.
Nope. I love it.
Counterspell sleeves.
I love those sleeves. I have the shirt. It's one of my favorite shirts.
What counterspell art is that?
Well, it's original counterspell art. It's just a
bit of a different
Treadway's
hat.
take on it. Yeah. I think it's actually supposed to be the collar, like that you're seeing there. Let me do this.
All right, and all right, Brian's turn again. Again, Jeremy at 17, Brian at 20. Brian draws a Sun Petal Grove. That's going to allow him to, if potentially, Phyrexian Metamorph, copying a Strangler Geist, and cast another Strangler Geist, so he could get in there right now for 7 this turn. Force his opponent to have a Day of Judgment. The thing is, that draw is, while it seems like it's almost this unstoppable force, because his opponent has the Ratchet Bomb on 1, a single Day of Judgment is still able to wipe Brian's entire board here.
Yeah. All right, so he goes.
He goes for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's going to drop down to 18 from that Phyrexian mana. Jeremy falling down to 10 from this attack here.
Yeah. And Jeremy's going to get to buy himself some time.
Yeah, that's, you gotta be careful with that, that's fine, but,
right.
Yeah.
Wanted to make sure he added the counter to the Ratchet Bomb, or else he wouldn't be buying himself any time. I mean, he still needs to find, like you said, like a Wrath or something, because this is just gonna pump his 2, so, alright. So, he does have the Wrath. He needed the Wrath, otherwise that was a terrible Ratchet Bomb, because again, it ended up being bad fog at best, and Jeremy playing it during his main phase, it was not even going to be that good.
Alright,
so
Brian just plays an elf, past the turn.
Alright, has Jeremy been able to stabilize here?
Looks like he has. Brian drawn a few too many mana creatures.
And Jeremy has a Lingering Souls on the front end here.
Yeah, a little bit odd. Jeremy chose to tap his mana in a fashion where he's unable to flash back the Lingering Souls.
Right, could have gotten
turn.
4 spirits there, but
maybe he just wants to, because he does have a Day of Judgment in his hand, so he's thinking, if Brian gets back into this game, I want to make sure that I can
Wrath without losing too many guys, yeah.
Yeah, now he's going to flash back the Lingering Souls. That sets him up in case he top decks a land for the next turn, so that he could just cast an Elesh Norn and start beating for
ridiculous.
Like 12
3
in the air.
per guy, yeah.
So that just put Brian on 4 next turn and essentially just leave him dead. Let's see, is Brian able to find something of use? It looks like he has. He found an Acidic Slime. Now he's going to have a choice here. He could Acidic Slime and
deal with
destroy the Oblivion Ring, but his opponent is getting dangerously close to Elesh Norn mana. And that's just a disaster.
Yeah.
So he's got to make the distinction. He's got to think to himself, all right, well,
He goes, Birds of Paradise, go.
okay, I like this play from Brian a lot. All right, what Brian is trying to set up here is Brian is trying to get his opponent to attack with all the flyers, then have enough mana to Acidic Slime,
And then equip
the
the
Oblivion
sword,
Ring,
yeah.
and equip the sword on the same turn. And that Ratchet Bomb is going to be a huge problem for Brian here.
All right, so Jeremy bringing the beats with 3 spirits and leaving 1 back just in case. Brian going for the Acidic Slime here.
Yep. Going to be hitting the
O-Ring.
Oblivion Ring.
Yep. So O-Ring goes away. Sword of Feast and Famine now available to for the Llanowar Elf to pick up. That is a dangerous elf.
Jeremy definitely going to
Yeah,
block
just
this.
chump block
He has an
there.
Elishnorn in his hand. That would be a pretty brutal hit from that sword.
Wow, yeah. Ratchet Bomb ticks up 1. And Jeremy untaps his 3 spirits. 6 lands in play. Draws non-land, so he cannot drop that Elishnorn.
Is that, what is that card he just drew?
I couldn't tell, but it didn't look like land.
It did not look like a land.
It's and he's flipping. He's got Day of Judgment, Elishnorn, and card that we haven't been able to identify.
I just don't recognize
I think it was
that
a
card.
foil, so that kind of threw me off as far as
Maybe
what.
it's alternate art. Or...
Yeah, maybe alternate art. He's flipping it around. So anyway, passes the turn back after swinging him with 3 dudes. Seriously, and Brian now going to attempt to move the sword, and I guess we're gonna see that it was an alternate art Doomblade, or is it Go for the Throat?
Yeah, I
What
think
is
it's a
it?
go for the throat.
Yeah. So Doomblade.
Oh, and that's brutal.
Wow. Restoration
Casting
Angel.
Restoration Angel.
In response to the Doomblade.
It doesn't go back to his hand. It just gets removed from the game.
Right,
and goes back to
it's
flash.
just flashed, yeah.
Can you tell
Yeah,
the judge
tell them
quickly? That's not how the Restoration Angel works.
Restoration Angel does not bounce the acidic slime.
It puts it back into play. It just
Right.
blinks it. It blinks it. Quickly. Oh, no.
Gosh,
no.
they're moving way too fast.
Okay, stop.
Just tell them stop. Yeah, that was they did not move that fast during any part of this match.
that was-
until it's like Restoration Angel
Turbo mode.
Who hit first? Who hit fast forward? He used Restoration Angel, which should blink the acidic slime, and put it back into play, not into his hand. Yeah, now they're backing up, trying to figure this out. I don't even know what happened because I was trying to get Jeremy's attention here.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty easy to recreate this game state. He goes Doomblade. He goes Restoration Angel. That's mana.
Mm-hmm.
Then Acidic Slime. It's bounced.
It's flat. It gets blinked,
Yeah.
not bounced. That's the problem. Was the bounce.
Gets
So,
blinked.
Yeah, those are
Brian
tapped.
will destroy a land, which is surprisingly relevant here. Then Brian's going to equip the sword to the elf.
To a Llanowar elf, and now Jeremy is going to pop the ratchet bomb at 1.
Two, four.
Yeah, so that'll kill the elf and the bird.
Yeah.
And the bird's dead, right? I mean, did he not blow the ratchet? Oh, they're backing up a little bit. I think they're just trying to make sure all the mana is correct here. All right, so now ratchet bomb on 1 kills the bird and the elf, and still a scary position for Jeremy to be in, but he did manage to come out of that turn without taking any damage. He can swing and then Day of Judgment here.
That's what he's going to have to do.
Yeah, I think that's his option. So, okay, not chump block, but block 1. Brian goes to 8, and Day of Judgment.
And we have a Thursday night FNM, and we get Forest Ryan's box. How many decks are in the...
Why not leave a Glacial Fortress untapped there?
14, just roll a die.
Or a Seachrome Coast? Just
Now
in
Jeremy
case.
draws a land here in a great spot.
Oh. He draws the
The actual
Terminus when
worst
it's
time to draw
absolutely
that.
irrelevant.
Keep going.
Man, that Terminus
It's a
is not.
miracle.
Yeah, it's a miracle. Oh gosh, yeah. So, yeah, that
When,
is. I like
when
how
Brian's
he paused.
opponent looked at that card, I'm sure Brian was like, if this isn't Treat the Angels.
Yeah, it was. That was kind of funny. All right, so Jeremy with no play there. He's got 5 lands. He's got Sun Titan. He's got Sun Titan, Terminus, and Elishnorn in hand. Just needs a freaking land, and there's one, but I think it comes into play tapped. Yeah, it's a
Does
Dark
come
Slick
into play
Shores.
tapped.
Brian working himself up to Colossus of Sardia mana. One more land could cast.
Yeah, and he's drawing a lot of 1-mana creatures too.
Yeah, so Acidic Slime, that's, yeah, Jeremy cannot seem to dig out of this hole. Did he target the Ghost Quarter?
No, he definitely did not target that, yeah.
Yeah, I think Jeremy was trying to figure out a way to get some sort of value out of it, but, so, Dark Slick Shores goes away from the Acidic Slime, and Jeremy does top deck up, comes into play untapped land.
Yeah.
Basic Swamp, gets Sun Titan onto the board. Sun Titan brings back O-Ring just in time to deal with that sword, I assume.
Yeah, one would guess that he's going to remove the acidic slime.
It goes with the
right?
acidic slime. Okay, well,
Even
yeah,
if
you're
you
right.
get Topics to Strain Over Geist,
You're
the
right.
Titan still blocks it, so...
Yeah, you're right. Slime's better. I'm just like, get rid of the sword again.
All right,
And,
and Brian goes ahead and
is that
plays that Gavany Township.
Avacyn's Pilgrim, was that what that was? Picked up a sword, and
Brian drawn a lot of lands this game.
alright, so
Jeremy just hanging on.
I kind of wonder, like, I understand like why he hit the slime, but I still wonder if the sword might have been a better, because I feel like that sword's way scarier than that slime. Obviously, you're just not
Just in
blocking the
general,
slime, right? Just like take 2. But obviously, like, I guess Brian just leaves the slime back and Sun Titan never attacks. Interesting, Jeremy has no Snapcaster mages, so, you know, I'm sitting here going, he could Snapcaster Doomblade? No, doesn't work. I mean, if he had dealt with the sword.
So that's an interesting
Doomblade
spot
does
for
nothing
Brian.
here.
Because Brian just top decked Gideon Shura. Now this game is probably already lost for Brian. And he has a choice. He can cast Gideon Shura and make the game last a little bit longer.
Looks like he chose to scoop.
Yeah, but in doing so, he tells his opponent that he has Gideon Shura in his deck.
Right.
That game was a tight one. If Brian was on the play, he definitely would have gotten that one. But no, being on the draw and getting flooded like that, you know, gives opponent the opportunity to just get out from underneath that super early aggression.
Yeah.
And he just kept drawing lands.
Yeah, that was an interesting game. I liked that there was a lot of interaction there.
A lot of stuff
That
going
was
on.
way more
Yeah.
exciting than the first game, which was Jeremy just getting rolled by Strangleroot Geists. But yeah, I think Brian declining to show the Gideon Jura was definitely a good call, because who knows
Yeah, I mean, you
how
don't-
much that's going to come into play next game.
You don't know how that can make your opponent play differently, especially when they're a Lingering Souls deck.
Yeah, some interesting articles recently talking about certain kind of fundamentals. I know Mike Flores and both Mike Flores and Patrick Chapin wrote articles in the last 2 weeks about kind of the fundamentals. I think Patrick specifically addressing things, the shortcuts that we take, and sometimes we just have bad shortcuts. And one of the things mentioned was tapping a Glacial Fortress and leaving an untapped island when really you don't have to. When
It's just
your
good practice.
default play should be leave the play that leaves you the most options. So you have a Glacial Fortress untapped instead of an island. We saw Jeremy in that game tap Glacial Fortress, Seachrome Coast, another land for a day of judgment and leave open an island when he could have, he could have had one
He
white
could have
man
had
there.
Dark Shores open.
Yeah, he
and,
could have had,
been bluffing Tragic Slip.
Or could have, anything could have come up. You never know. And it's these kind of things like Brian not showing the Gideon Jura. I mean, that's not as basic of a fundamental, I think.
Brian's somebody who's been around for a very long time. Brian, I believe his first Pro Tour was like 1998, 97 maybe. And Brian is definitely more well known as a deck builder than anything else.
When I was in high school, there was a guy in my school named Brian Kowal, and I didn't know him. He was like a couple of years older than me or something. But I remember reading Magic coverage and being like, "Is that the guy that goes to school?" Because I didn't have pictures, the coverage that I was reading or the articles that I was reading were just mentioning names, and I had no idea what this Brian Kowal looked like. I'm just like, "Is that guy? I've never seen him play Magic."
Yeah, the Harold Ramis of Magic.
I don't get that.
Harold Ramis, Spangler from the Ghostbusters movies.
Just vague memory of the Ghostbusters movies.
It's
I don't remember.
not Bill Murray, not Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah, see, that's why I don't remember. I just can't picture him. I'm like, I remember
He's in
Bill Murray.
Stripes. Have you ever seen that movie?
I don't think so.
He plays Zinsky.
Of course, as soon as I look him up, I'll be like, oh yeah, that guy. I can just IMDb him. All right, so yeah, I don't know how much time is left in the round. It looks like
These guys definitely have a short time extension. We
because
did
they
hold them up.
Yeah, but I mean this game's going to have to maybe move a little faster than the previous two. That turbo mode that they showed us.
Neither of them were playing slow, I don't think, at any point.
No, I don't think they were playing slow. I don't think that at all. I'm saying but they may need to turn on the turbo mode.
Oh, yeah. Right. 23 minutes.
For them. Okay, so they got plenty of time. For some reason, that clock looks like it says, I thought it said, 4 minutes left. But I have a very terrible angle on it. What is it? Oh, 19. Okay, so they have a 4-minute extension. We're sitting kind of on the same plane as the clock, so we have this very, very bad angle.
It's hard to see it.
I'm just not going to look at the clock and trust what I think I see for the rest of the day. We need a sign.
So
turn in your result slips here to the SCG Live booth.
Brian Kowal, that looks like a man with a turn 2 Sword of War and Peace. What do you think?
I think it's possible.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are not registered in the standard open,
Looks like Jeremy's going to have the mulligan.
The way you were hoping, side events are now open. We are taking registration on all of our 8-player drafts, constructed red boxes, 4-player commander pods.
Jeremy's not prepared for the turn 2 Sword of War and Peace, so this mulligan to 5, I don't think. Is he on a 5 or 6, do you think?
I think it's to 6. Is he mulling to 5 or 6? Ricky's very loud. Is he mulling to 5 or 6? Oh, it's 5. Okay, it is 5.
Okay, he's got 5 cards. Yeah, his last hand was a 1-lander with just a basic swamp.
Oh, you saw his hand.
Big 3-color deck. It's just not a good call to keep that.
He has a bunch of great lands over there, but in the style of Guru Lands. Fantastic card authorist in the house. So check those guys out today.
Ricky espousing the virtues of all our artists we have here. We've got several altruists, and we've got Jeff Miracula, he's kind of long-time Magic artist. Urza's, what was it, like the Beebles or whatever? The
Equilibrium he did?
Yeah, he did Equilibrium. He's done a Cicada Lancer. All right, so...
And that's turn 2 Sword of War and Peace.
There's a turn 2 Sword of War and Peace that you predicted, Brian, with the birds on turn 1, turn 2
and
sword.
no black mana, so looks like Brian's going to be free to equip this sword.
And... Sword...
Yep, 5 damage.
Sword connects.
So I think number 7. Oh, Jeremy down to 13.
Yeah, because he had, what, 5 in hand? 2 from the sword.
Yeah, those
Lingering
tokens are white.
souls. Not gonna put the brakes on the way Jeremy wants it to. All right, Brian in again, and this is at least another 6.
At 6, it's going to put Jeremy down to 7 here. And a Bird of Paradise doing a lot of work in the early turns of the game for Brian Kowal.
Yeah, I was killed by a Bird of Paradise. Bird doing all 20 damage.
And this is something that Brian's really good at. Brian loves playing around Wrath effects, and look at that. He just got his opponent to use a Day of Judgment to get rid of 2 of his own spirits, and
a
Brian's
Bird of Paradise. Right. So, Strangle Rootgeist equip.
And that's a Gideon
Oh,
Jura.
Gideon Jura. I didn't know that
And
was
his
in your
opponent
deck.
did not know that was in his deck.
No, so Gideon. Gideon just +2, you know. Not much else he can do right here. But Jeremy is in some trouble. What is that he drew? He's got a Day of Judgment, a Think Twice, and what is that other card? Is it Deadweight? I think it
It's
is.
Deadweight.
And, all right, so Jeremy, Think Twice, and that's it.
Yeah.
Takes a look at the top, says no miracles here,
Yeah.
and Brian Kowal wins round 1, 2-1.
Jeremy could have actually given himself a, at least one more out by waiting to think twice.